All right, so we're live both on Facebook and on YouTube. It'll take a few minutes for people to start coming in. There's been a pretty obvious lag when we start a few minutes early. I think Raging Bull used to do it where they would say they were starting at 8 and they'd start like 5 minutes later.
Later.
So,
Or
like,
sometimes they start earlier and then they say something important and then you're like, oh, I missed that.
right.
Because they start at like 7:55, right?
So guys, I see people watching. Say hello in the chat box if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, get over to YouTube. You should be able to find the link. I've posted it like a million times in Facebook groups and Discords and wherever else you're coming from. Come into the YouTube channel. It's going to be easier to talk to us there, just because we can see your name when you're actually in the YouTube channel, in the chat on the YouTube channel. So we'll be able to know where you are, answer your questions and stuff, and get going a bit more easy that way. So yeah. So we were just talking about Jellystone before we went live.
Jellystone National Park, not Yellowstone.
Nope.
They have the Yogi Bear there. That's fun. Camping and all that.
So see, Andreas is here. Andreas, you're already a super duper theta lover, aren't you?
Yeah, Andres is real deal on following these alerts. So.
Yeah. Good. Anybody else from theta arriving yet? Let us know in the chat box. Say hello.
Yep, quick comment. And there'll be some breaks during this. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and we'll get to it. I have some questions from other members as well that we'll mention as it comes up.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
So let's see. Get started now, you think?
Yeah, just pull up the presentation and get started. People trickle in over the next few minutes usually. All right, I see it popping up, so I'm just going to add it here. Boom. All right, so we're loading up the presentation. So as I promised in the kind of the emails and stuff about this, the whole idea here really is to talk about Lance's zero DTE stuff, which is awesome. That's the 1% or close to 1% average day, which we've been like kind of talking about. But also, if you stick around, I think Lance is going to walk us through a potential trade, which should have a probability of about 95% chance of winning within the space of probably a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, about 30 days. You should be able to get about 2.5%. And also, I had to do it live. If you actually want to, you could actually do it tonight. Which is good about futures. You could actually trade them.
Oh, it's a futures trade. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you can actually fill the trade now if you wanted to. So,
all right, sweet. That's even better. So real-time actual placing a trade if you want to. That's cool. I never knew that. I thought it was going to be like a CSP or something for tomorrow.
No, and even if you're in another side of the ponds, you could still do it. It doesn't matter where in the world. And we have some members in Singapore and other countries. So yeah, that's great. All right, so
very cool.
So a little quick thing about me, if you're not aware. So I'm an Ivy League graduate, hang out with Mr. Ben Franklin over here. I decided to be a financial advisor after that. I worked for Ameriprise and their financial services from American Express. I also worked at Thrive in Financial. They work with Lutherans and whatnot. So I did that for 3 years, and I thought I'd be a good helper for teaching people how to deal with their money and budgeting and whatnot. But it really ended up being just a big sales job. Find a client, say that they could help them, and then you're essentially just putting them in their program, charging fairly high fees for it, and then not really doing much with them, just finding more clients over and over again. So I decided to switch gears. I was a biology major, so I decided to become a high school science teacher, and I'm still in that now. Year 16 coming up here. Going to be teaching physics, just like Russell knows a little bit of physics, right?
Oh, maybe I did. I've kind of lost that knowledge a while ago, but yeah, kind of.
And then I decided, while being a teacher, a lot of kids, even coworkers, are interested about their budgeting, how they're going to get their pensions, how they're going to be able to make it in retirement and whatnot. So I've been helping coworkers and students. I actually run an investing club at our school. It's all completely optional if they just want to join. We talk about options and whatnot. And then I decided I wanted to help out other people. So we made thetatraders.com. That's traders with a Z. And I also do run a YouTube channel. You could easily just type in investing teacher. You'll see my very handsome face on the front. And then have a lot of videos there. I think it's over 100 something right now at this point. So some of my general goals in life, I want to be able to make enough passive income where, I mean, it's semi-passive. We're going to have to do a little bit of research, but you could do this in the comfort of your own home. As you'll see, you could do this even in the middle of the night if you wanted to. And I think option selling is one of the best strategies to do this because you can get consistent income either week after week, month after month, even day after day, as I'll show you shortly. I also want to be able to teach others, teach my students, teach my daughters, how to do the same things, and then share my trades with others that want to learn and the methodology behind it. And just to give back to the community, we do operationhope.org. They help mostly in Georgia, Atlanta area for small businesses. YIS.org is for the youth investment clubs for teenagers that they are interested in stocks and whatnot. So every part of the proceeds that we get does go back to those communities. So main trading philosophy, I want to look for very consistent strategies with high probabilities of success. And my target goal is 2% a month. A lot of the trades we'll do will pay a little more than that, but there will be a few trades you'll have to manage and you won't necessarily get, the 3-4%. So on average, get 2% a month, which we've been pretty consistently doing most months. And then I found that you could buy stocks, you could, buy in holes, you could possibly buy options, and the risk returns are very different than selling options. If you buy an option and you don't do anything else with it, you need the price of that stock to go up in a very short amount of time in order to make some money on that. Based on theta decay, every day that you get closer to that expiration is losing value, assuming that the stock stays where it is or if implied volatility changes. So you want to be on the other side of the coin there. Go for high probability trades that we're actually using that theta decay to our advantage because we're going to be gaining a little bit of time decay every day that we get closer to that expiration date. So selling options is the main strategy that we do at Theta Traders. And there's quite a few other services out there that do primarily focus on selling options necessarily. Some might buy and sell, but this is primarily focused on looking for those high probability, fairly good returns in the end, because 2% a month will beat out the SPY in most months and most years. So here are the three main strategies I use to sell options. One, we'll do credit spreads. If you're aware of that, that's where you sell a put and then also buy a put at a lower strike price. You can also do that on the call side oppositely, where it uses a lot less buying power than just selling a cash secured put. You can do this with as little as $100 if you wanted to. Most of the trades we do are 5 withs, so about $500. And we'll do that on usually large cap stocks, ETFs like IWM, QQQ, and whatnot. And again, we're looking for those high probability trades. If SPY is about 380 and change, we might want to sell a 350, 340 strike prices really far out of the money there to get that target 2% a month. Okay. Now, a lot of these credit spreads will be a little bit higher in general. It's hard to fill on 1 or 2%. So we typically get around 4 or 8% per month. But not every trade will work out. If we have some time, I'll go over a few of the strategies that what we do to manage these. But we don't want to get a full max loss on these trades. So we'll essentially stop out at certain target numbers. Zero DTE is another strategy that we primarily do, where you essentially start the trade pretty much right at market open. And we look to close those trades sometimes within 20, 30 minutes. Like today, we closed it 20 minutes after the alert. You could possibly go up to the end of the day. And we want to use very liquid ETFs like SPY, SPX, where there's a lot of volume and open interest, so you could get in and out of the trades pretty quickly. And the third main strategy we're looking at to deal with the margin requirements for people in slightly smaller account sizes is you could use the MES futures, and I'll go over that a little bit later, where it's essentially like using portfolio margin. But again, we want to be very safe in our strike prices and our out of the monies. So we're going to look for safe ways in order to make those happen to still target those good percentages. Is there anyone in the chat room so far have any general questions? Russell, you want to name them out?
Yeah, I'll have a look in a sec. I just saw Josh is in the waiting room. I think we're going to have him on in a bit, right?
Yeah, sounds good. Let me go over the strategies first, and then Josh can maybe talk a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So let me go over the zero DTE strategy. This has been the most profitable strategy of all of the different alerts we made this year. This is a little bit more active Typically, you have to be ready near market open within about 15, 20 minutes of it. And we're going to be selling credit spreads that expire the exact same day. You can actually trade these every day of the week now. That was just recently, you could trade SPX every day of the week. It used to only be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But if you wanted to and you're a little bit more active, you could trade these every day if you have the right account size of at least 25,000. But a lot of the members in our group, they might trade 3 times a week on these. There's a huge amount of theta decay because the option only has that day and then it's going to expire. So if that strike price is not very close to where we're going, that option's not going to be worth much at all in the end. And we want to be trading these, again, high probability chances of success. Most trades will earn between 2 to 3% when you're starting the trade. And then in a lot of cases, we might buy to close it out a little bit early. Like today, we closed it in 20 minutes. Sometimes we might close it by lunchtime. In very few cases, we'll actually hold this till the whole day because you could just go about your life. You could earn your 1 to 2% or so. It's also very easily scalable. For one contract, we typically do a 5-with spread for SPY. You only need $500 minus the amount of money you take in. So maybe about $470, $480 or so. But if you have a larger account size, you could easily do this with many contracts. So we have some people doing 10, 20 contracts a day, and then they could possibly amplify their income that way. So just basic overview of the strategy. Typically before the market opens, I'm going to look at the trends in individual sectors, the sector ETFs like SPF, SPE. Also look at the volatility index, that's the VIX. If the VIX is very high, we tend to go even further out of the money because SPY can move very dramatically when the VIX is high. Going to look at recent support and resistance levels. If it might have touched a certain point yesterday, we would consider where to put the strike even safer than those numbers at times. And then we want to enter our trade with the stop loss in place. Now, this is a key part here where a lot of people will think, all right, you're putting a trade in that you're using $500 in buying power to earn maybe $20 or so. We don't want to be risking the full $500 in this case. I know some other strategies, they might want to let it expire worthless, but if it gets to those prices that makes it in the money, you could technically lose the full $500. So we don't want that to happen. We put stop losses in immediately after placing the trade. So then in many cases, you're only really risking about 4 to 5% for that particular day if you get stopped out of it. Does that make sense, Russell, or everyone else in the group?
Yeah, I'm just telling Ken. Ken's asking how much time per day would this trade take. So I just kind of told him, that it's a daily trade. It takes 20 minutes sometimes, but you're setting the trade up and letting it run, so you can go away. It's not like you sit there and watch it like a hawk.
Yes. And especially with the stop loss, either it gets stopped out or you could take your profits. Right. A lot of cases, it might be waiting around an hour or two, and then maybe around lunchtime, we could say, hey, you could close this out to make your 1% for the day. And then I give those as possible recommendations throughout the day as it happens. So you don't necessarily have to be like a hawk on it once you've entered the trade. So here are the 0DT results this year. I cut it off until June 15th. I'll actually show the full spreadsheet shortly. But these are the last trades that we did for June. In Theta Traders, we go over if we're going to do a put credit spread or a call credit spread. It's based on the pre-market movements. As you see in the last few weeks, we haven't been doing many iron condors where you essentially do the put and call side together. Just because the market has been so up and down from day to day, you might gain 2% and then lose 2%, the next day afterwards. So we're looking at very safe directional plays here. I write down what the stock price is, the strike prices for calls or puts. Now notice the delta. These deltas are the approximate chance that it might get to the in the money prices. So we want to get very high probability of success trades. We tend to look for relatively lower deltas here. You won't make as much as selling those, at the money 0.5 deltas, but the odds are in our favor here. And then statistically speaking, if we could be right at least 2/3 of the time, you're going to be making money based on our stop losses. So then we'll look at the VIX. We'll see how much possible movements in the stock prices there are. These are the premium amounts you'll make per one position. And then this is what we do. We usually buy to close it. In this last case, we actually been doing pretty well with our buy to closes. And a lot of cases here might be 20, 30 minutes. Some cases about an hour or so. This shows the percent gains in the last 9 trades here. We only had 1 loss. The rest were winners. And you'll see that we stopped out of it at $45. You didn't actually lose the 45 because you took in 18. So you subtract those 2 numbers, and that'll be the loss for that one day. But then all these other trades, you're seeing pretty consistent 1 to 2% gains. Do a tally of the win-loss record right now for the whole year, 78 trades that were winners out of 88, which ends up being an 89% win rate. The reason why the win rate's a little lower than these deltas is we do stop out of them. Some of them might have ended up expiring worthless, but again, we don't want to risk the full $500 on these trades. And then this is a running profit. We started in the beginning of the year at $500, and we're currently at $875 into about half the year, which is almost doubling your money in half the year in the strategy. Did the data on this? The average return per trade was 0.96%. I don't want to say exactly 1% like Russell was. Gotta be pretty accurate here. But literally just took the averages of all the trades for the year, and that's what the average was. For the average win, there were 77 out of, it's actually 78 out of 88. I took this data yesterday, but it's pretty much the same. About 1.84% is the average win. And then the average loss is a little bit higher, 5%. But as you'll see that the win rate is so high, the odds are in our favor, and it does make the account grow pretty well. So I'm going to leave it up for any questions at this point. Any general questions from the group? I'm going to unshare the screen so I can see it, or unless you just want to name them out.
Yeah, so Ken asked for the trades, are the entries, exits, and adjustments communicated? And 2, what means of communication?
Good questions. Yep. So we do everything through Discord. Discord is a active chat log where we're writing down. You get notified on your phone, just like it's a text message. And then I'll put what the entry points are, what our stop loss is, and then I'll send another notification when you could close it at a target percent that we want.
Okay, so then that's great. Let's see. So I'm going to switch to Vicky now, who's posted, when you do announce, how much time does one have to get into the trade? That's a huge thing that, like, with these services, and it's something with Lance and a couple of other guys I work with, is awesome. This is not a crazy race to the exit, right?
Yeah, for the 0DTE, you do have to be a little bit more alert than the other strategies that I'll talk about. Typically within about 15-20 minutes after market open, if you're available, then it'll be good to do the 0DTE strategy. For the other trades that go longer out, like a month or even 3 months out, you could actually do the trade the next day, and it's pretty much the same prices as I mentioned the day before. So it really depends on the strategy we're looking at.
Okay, so I'm just frantically answering questions here.
Okay.
So let me just, I've typed some of them. I just want, does Discord have, let me see, does Discord have audio alerts? Yeah, it does. You can set push notifications on your phone. You can set it to make a noise. Yeah, you can do pretty much anything with Discord, and Lance or I or any of the other people in the sort of community that do Discord can kind of help with that.
Right.
Get people set up. And it is a big stumbling block for some people. They get put off by the platform, but there's plenty of people now that are in the network of people that can help with that.
Right.
And Brian's asking, do you ever sell puts on SPY?
Yeah, that is sometimes in our credit spread alerts. That does come up from time to time. I tend to stagger out SPY, IWM, QQQ, the bigger ETFs as credit spreads. And we typically recycle them in every few weeks or so. So pretty much if you're going to follow every alert we do, you'll be in one of those 3 pretty much at all times. Yeah.
And I think it's awesome you've covered the first part, which is the 0DTE stuff, which is amazing. I really like the idea of it, starting with $1,000 and then, growing it from there, or start with $10,000 if you want. It's a very, very variable strategy, but it's not the only thing that Lance does by like a long shot, right? You do
Yeah,
a lot,
that's just one of the main ones that a lot of people are interested in. So,
right? Which is why we're kind of talking about it more tonight.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Another quick question on the zero DTE.
good.
Robert is asking how many trades per week?
We trade every day on these now. So Monday to Friday, alert will come out typically within a few minutes after market open. So around 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you happen to be free there, you could do it through your phone. A lot of people do that if you're out or working and whatnot. And then typically close it at least 50% profit, which will end up being at least 1 to 2% for that day.
Okay, cool. So let's see. I think at this point there's no more questions. You want to continue, and I can keep an eye on the questions. And,
Yep. So again, that zero DTE is more of the fast paced. You do have to be a little bit more alert on it. I also want to do some much more passive strategies, and the new one we've been using about a month and a half now is selling futures trades off typically the MES futures. So if any of you guys saw Matt trades, he does the oil trades, the CL. We look at the MES or the ES futures, which is essentially the SPY in the futures markets. And we look to sell puts very far out of the money, similar to Matt's trades. He does that with oil. I think we could actually do very well with MES as well.
people.
So we're going to be mimicking the SPY, and these are going to be longer dated trades. As you'll see shortly, you could actually trade this pretty much anytime you want. And they're going to expire in about a month or so. So it's pretty easy to just stagger these out. Now, this uses span margin, which is similar to portfolio margin. If you have a large account, like over 100,000, you might notice when you place some trades, it doesn't need the full cash needed. Same thing with these futures trades. So you could use a lot less of your buying power in these to still get pretty good returns.
Lance, just at that point, sorry to interrupt, but it's a good point here is to answer one of the questions, which was it just came in. What size of margin account? For the zero DTE, it's different from the future stuff, obviously. So maybe quickly explain that.
So zero DTE are credit spreads where you only need the width of the spread minus your premium you collect to place that trade. So for the zero DTE, you usually need about $500, actually a little bit less than that. For these trades, you could actually get away with doing about the same amount of money because they use span margin. And I'll go over the actual numbers shortly with you guys. And just like zero DTE, these are easily scalable as well with larger accounts.
Sorry, another quick question. We've got a lot of interaction today, which is great, but it's going to cause a little flow interruption. Are you okay with that, or do you want to
keep them coming? I don't mind.
keep going? It's best people get their questions answered. So Robert's saying 1 to 2% of what? Like
of your actual money that you're putting in for the trade. So if you're putting in a 5-list spread, you're using $500 in buying power. You might be able to get about 2% or so on the trade, so at least $10 out of that. If you take 10 divided by 500, you would make your 2% that way. So obviously it's scalable. If you're doing $5,000, you'd be making $100 for that day. Yeah, whenever I'm saying these percents, it's based on the return, based on the buying power you're using.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I think we're good to keep going with the this part about the MES stuff.
All right. So one last thing for any futures trades, they are tax advantaged. So you actually get 60% of your gains in long-term capital gains. If you're a high-income earner, that could be pretty beneficial to you when it comes tax season, because when you're doing credit spreads on like SPY and other stocks, you get 100% short-term. So these are only 40% short-term capital gains. So the goal, and I've been back testing this quite a bit and implementing it the last month and a half, is selling these very far out of the money, naked puts on MES, and the target goal is 2.5% a month. A lot of these trades will be a little bit more than that, but not every trade will necessarily work out. Some of them you might have to manage a bit, but that is a pretty reasonable goal, I think, based on the back testing. And it's been working well, even in this crazy market where you see SPY dropping, 8 to 10% in some weeks. And the strategy is still holding up very well because we're going really, really far out of the money on these trades. So typically you want to sell really low, 0.03 to 0.05 delta. That's a very, very high statistical probability of success. actually more than the other trades that I recommend. Typically, those might be around 87 to 92 or so percent. These are looking about 95% win rates, as you'll see in the back testing. And it's 2 standard deviations away. If anyone knows their math and standard deviations, that's the approximate probabilities that it might get to this price. Some of the other alert services might go close to 1 standard deviation away, but then there's a lot of variation there, and you might get stopped out quick. You might get a total loss. We're going really, really far away from that bell curve where it's a very, very low chance of it happening. These trades use about $1,000 per position. As you'll see in the one that I'm looking at shortly, you actually could use a little less than that. That's the buying power needed to implement the trade. And you do want to leave some cash on the sidelines. So you don't want to just make the trades based on your available buying power, because it does deal with span margin, and you will have to use a little bit more of your buying power if it starts to go a little bit against you. That still doesn't mean that it's going to be a lost trade, but as you'll see, you want to make sure that you're safe on these, okay? These are easily scalable for large accounts. We have Bill doing ES futures. Those take about $10,000 to $12,000, but you could easily do multiple contracts on this one, a few $1,000s if you have it, or you could do larger account sizes. It's very similar in strategy. And you can do these once a week. I'm going to show you how fast it is to enter this, literally a minute, and then you're done for the month. Really simple stuff here. So I'm going to open up Thinkorswim here. Can you see the Thinkorswim browser?
Yep, I can see it. Very quick question from Gary, though. What percentage of your total account size would you put into any one of these trades?
It's a good question. I'm not going to say a cookie cut answer for that. I did write a paper that theta traders receive for percent allocations in the different strategies. And I go over the reasoning why you might do certain percents with each strategy. So I can't really give a set answer for that. What I do is I do about 10% of my account in the 0DTE. We are buying a house soon. When the house thing settles, I plan on doing the MES futures, what I'm about to show you, with about 15 to 20%.
Well,
and the rest is cash secured puts and covered calls.
One of the nice things about Lansing's services, though, is that it's very personalized. A lot of time you'll sit down and you'll have discussions with people about their goals and that kind of thing, right? And you'll actually say, you know, a little bit more personalized, hands-on type of stuff. So,
right.
Help with that. All right, let's keep going then.
All right, so here's the MES. This is the futures market for SPY. And you notice that the bars are actually moving right now. I'll go to the 1 minute. And you'll see it actually moving after hours. So these are the futures markets. And the candles will move 23 hours a day and only gets a little 1 hour break right after market close. So right now, MES is at 3807. Pretty similar to what SPY was, minus the digit, right? Because SPY is in around 380 or so. And you can see overnight, so after market close to now, the market's down about 0.3% or so. And you can see the bars moving, right? So what you can do is go to the trade tab. You do need to have futures approval to do these trades. Pretty simple. You just ask for permission. You put in your application there, and they'll approve in pretty low account sizes. I've seen some get approved with only $2,000 on there, to be honest. So if you go to the trade tab, we're going to look at the option chain 30 days from now. And remember, MES is at 3808. We're going to go for really, really far out of the money strikes here. So we want a very high probability of success, a very low chance of it actually working. You can see I actually put a position already at the 3150, which is also a good return. But if you want to be even safer, that will still get you a good return. Let's look around the 3100 strike price. So if you're going from 3808 all the way down to 3100, it's about a 20% drop in the SPY futures in a month, which would be an amazingly huge jump. That I don't even think COVID month even got there. It might have been very close, but it doesn't drop 20% in a month, right? So looking at the bid and ask, you could do these right on the bid price, and I'll show you how easy it is to actually get filled. if you do the 3.45, you will get filled on that because that is the low available price here. So just click on the bid and we'll sell one contract of this put option. Again, 3,100 strike. You might get more than that, but just for now, I'll show you how it works in the 3.45. And right here, as you'll see in the confirmation log, you'll be receiving a $15 credit on this trade, and your buying power used is only $281, which is actually a good return when you look at 15 divided by 281. That's a pretty good return on your money, right from a very, very high chance of success. That makes sense, group?
Yeah, nobody's asking any questions, so I'm assuming they're just listening or taking it in.
Now, we want to be a little bit safer with our buying power because there is a pretty big max loss there. We're not going to get anywhere near that max loss, by the way, but we're going to leave a little bit of cash on the sidelines. So if it's $281 in buying power needed, I personally recommend at least the same amount in cash. Let's make it $300 in cash that you're not going to trade with. We're just going to leave it in our brokerage account. So the total amount needed to place this trade is about $581. If you take the $15 in credit that you're going to receive, divided by that $581, that's our buying power needed, plus the cash we're leaving and not trading with, you're looking at a 2.58, about 2.6% return in your money in 30 days. Okay. So that's pretty much the strategy. There's going to be a little bit more to it in theta traders when we might be able to go a little bit higher deltas or lower deltas depending on what's happening. So I'll show the weekly trades we've done so far here, and members have got these in the futures channel. You can see the date sold, days to expiration. We're writing the stock price. We're writing the strike prices. If you compare these two columns, the strike prices are really, really far away from the current price because we want to have that safety. And then I wrote down the premium. This is the amount of income we collected per position. And this is the buying power plus cash needed. We're going really low deltas, high probability. And the first two trades already were 2.4% return. You're just taking your money you collected divided by the buying power plus cash. So we got 2.4% on one trade, 2.9% on the other. And literally, it's as easy as confirm and send, and that will fill, see?
Oh, I even heard the noise.
Literally fill, because we're doing it at the bid price. Obviously, you want to get a little bit more than that if you could. So we'll go over the strategies on theta traders, how to do that. But even at the absolute minimum, as long as the trade works out, where there's no catastrophic event and SPY goes down over 20% in a month, you'll be making your 2.5% in a month.
Okay, cool. So there's loads of questions coming in, and I don't mean to interrupt. There's always
Okay. I'm going to unshare my screen so I can see them a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So share your screen, bring it back. Okay. Should we bring Josh in as well, by the way, or?
Oh yeah, Josh is already posting. Let's answer the questions first, and let's get Josh in right after that.
All right, sounds good. So can you see the questions now?
All right, Gary, total account size. Yep. All right, Josh wrote, mention, we'll have Josh on shortly. Brian wrote, can you sell puts on SPY, wait out of the money instead of AS? Yes, you can.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Yep, you could sell puts way out of the money. We do those with credit spreads in the 0 DTE. We'll do longer dated credit spreads, 30 days out. Sometimes we even do 3 months out. And you could sell them way out of the money. You could do those with credit spreads for low account sizes. If you have a big account, you could do cash secured puts on that as well. Isn't this considered a naked put sell for Vicky? Yes, it technically is. We want to leave enough buying power available in case it does go against us. And there are some strategies we'll use if it doesn't go to in the money, but if it starts going against us very dramatically. But you are right, it is technically a naked put, so you do have to be careful with your margin and buying power for it.
Yeah, and I think that's something you're pretty good at, right? You're very conservative. You take your gains, you keep way out of the money and all this stuff. So I've always got the impression you're very conservative
Yeah.
compared to some.
Even in the last month where SPY dropped a lot, I didn't need to use more than the same amount of cash as the buying power was, because they're so far out of the money that even if SPY drops 4 or 5%, you're still really far away from that strike. Your margin and the buying power is not necessarily dramatically higher right away.
Right. And I think so. I've followed a lot of people that sell puts and this sort of stuff. And Lance to me has been the most conservative. Part of that is his diversification as well, right? So the
Yeah.
cash secured puts, like, you never, and that's something you do have to be aware of. You don't want to be in your entire account in one cash secured put or something.
Right.
You know, split it into 10. Your account's not going to get destroyed if you get a black swan event. You might lose 10% of whatever.
Exactly. I wrote pretty detailed papers that data traders get for doing those. Vicky wrote, with the math you mentioned, are you not running out of money very soon? Mainly because it's 30 days out and leaving money in my account to allow that trade. It depends on what your account size is and how many contracts you're doing with this. I wouldn't personally recommend doing about more than, say, a 30-year account on it, but use other theta type strategies to implement with the rest. And yeah, like, you are waiting a bit to get that return, but if you consistently are getting those base hits and doubles, you're going to be able to get a lot of runs in the end, right? Like, we're not going for home runs on here. Like other alert services, if you're interested, you might be able to double your money in a few days, but I'm not interested in those things. I want to be able to be very safe and conservative with it. Todd said, email out. Yeah, we'll record this so you can see it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for sure. It's always going to be up there. I'll email out the replay and everything. And if you go to my YouTube channel, it will appear in the next few days and all this type of stuff. Hey, Stephen, it seems like more navigation room people are here again today.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So I want to clarify really quick. Vicky's talking about the future strategy, right? But the zero DTE stuff is not, doesn't lock your money up.
Right. Zero DTE, you're only going to use up to $500 per position. It won't ever go higher than that. For the futures, for the naked puts, it could use more than that. Stephen wrote a good question. It looks like your buying power effect is being calculated from portfolio margin. That is a good point. For these, yeah, I said a minimum of $1,000 would be preferable for using these trades, because, like you just said, it's $494 in buying power. Save another $500 on the side. So then you're looking at about $1,000 total. You'd still take in $15. So you're still taking in 1.5% on just that sample trade I gave in a month. And if you could do that month after month, like, you're going to be beating out just buying holds in general.
Yeah, for sure. So Andreas is waiting in here for zero DTE. There are stop losses, and that's a huge point here. So when you lose, so there's always this thing where, like, option sellers win 99 times, and then everybody else says, but the one time you'll be destroyed, not the Lance's strategy. That one time you will not be destroyed. You might cancel out 3 of your previous 99 wins,
Right. Yeah, some people, they keep the credit spreads on. If it goes in the money, they just wait and they hope maybe it's going to turn back in the next day or two. And then that one time it doesn't, you just lost your full, $500 in that trade. We want to think about it more of a probability game here, where if we're doing a 3x stop, which is pretty common, we're going to get out at 3 times the initial premium received. So if you're taking in $25, you're going to get out at $75. But in the end, you're really only losing 50 because you took in 25, you lost 75. So theoretically, if you do that trade 3 times, if you lose 1 and win 2, you break even, right?
Right.
Because it would be 50 plus and then 50 minus.
And if you're fairly neutral, inside the Discord, Lance is probably the most extensive educational part of a Discord that I've ever seen. He has free ebooks that he's written. Some of them you might have already read, because occasionally we give them away. And then basically, in this deal that we're doing tonight, Lance basically will be like your personal mentor, right? I mean, that's how good you are. You're like, I'll jump on a one-on-one Zoom call with you. I'll teach you.
I'm keeping my teacher itch. I've been here all summer. I want to teach people.
Right. So he's a teacher at heart. So like, he's the only guy I know who will be like, you know what? Jump on the Zoom call right now. I'll show you all this, whatever you need. He goes above and beyond. So a lot of these things that you guys are asking are also possible once you're in a service like Lance's as well. Anyway, Vicky's asking what is a typical stop loss.
Yeah, good question. Typically for say credit spreads and zero DTE, we typically take in about $25 and then we'll stop out at $75. So you're really losing about 50 if you subtract the two. So we're looking at possible 8 to 10% on a stop loss for the longer dated, like 1 month trades. For the zero DTE, it's actually even less than that. We're trying to get about 1 to 1.5%, sometimes 2% in the trade. You're going to stop out about 3 or 4%. So it really depends on the strategy on that one.
Yeah. Cool. All right. More people asking about where this will be posted. So where will the recording be posted as they came in late? So Terry, I'm not sure where you're from, but if you're in my Facebook group or in any of the Discords I'm part of running or on my email list, you'll see the replay again pretty soon. Like tonight, I'll send out a link with it. Or just subscribe to the YouTube channel and it'll pop up as well. So you'll be able to see us. So you'll definitely be able to see this replay again. So yeah.
I think Josh has been waiting a bit. He wants to
Oh
probably.
yeah, sorry, Josh. I keep forgetting. All right, let's bring Josh on. So to stream. Hey Josh, how's it going?
How's it going, guys?
Very
Good. Yeah. So let me just hide Vicky's comment here so we can. There we go. So all three of them. So yeah. So Josh, I've seen you in Theatre Traders. We haven't really had a chance to talk very much, so, but I've been seeing a lot of the cool stuff you've been doing inside the Discord and things. So I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah. So basically, I'll just kind of start firing. But I've been part of other alert services, training programs, etc. regarding the stock market and stuff. But I've never really gotten the help that I needed before. And that's until I started talking to Lance. It's probably been, I don't know what's it been, Lance, like 4 months ago, probably.
Yeah, it's been almost the whole year.
Yeah, all of 2022 almost, yeah. And it just really started out with just me asking questions to Lance and stuff, and I feel pretty privileged to consider him a friend now. He's been very helpful and building my strategies and really sticking to, like he was mentioning, the stop losses because I beforehand I would definitely chase trades. Which would obviously end up hurting me in a lot of situations when you're chasing a trade. Basically, like one of his common sayings is you're trying to catch a falling knife. And so by just stopping out and not worrying about it, like if it's going to be a loser, it's going to be a loser. Like there's nothing you really can do about it. So that's really helped me. And then in addition to that, I've really started to utilize cash secured puts like Lance suggests on certain stocks that I like, and then if I happen to get assigned on them, just start wheeling them, collect covered call premiums and that kind of thing. So like I said, we've really become friends besides just working as far as stock investing. So I've really started helping out with reorganizing that Discord.
oh no, yeah,
Kind of helping organize that part and just hoping to make it easier for everyone to navigate that and so they can join themselves and know right where to go for stuff. That's really the goal, is just to make it very user friendly, and I think we're doing that. There's if we're constantly updating it, it'll be for the better. So anything we can do to if anyone has questions or comments that might help them as far as making it more user-friendly platform, definitely post those inside the Discord as well, and we'll work on that for you.
cool, yeah, very
Yeah,
cool.
me and Josh talk a lot about random stuff too on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're talking stocks, and hey, look, I'm gonna mow my lawn now, right?
Right.
But yeah, quite a few of the members I like talking and seeing how they're doing too.
I wish. So you've had a great experience. You're taking some of Lance's trades, right? Or you're taking.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've taken a decent amount of Lance's trades, and then I've even used some of his strategies to actually do some of my own.
Sweet.
because that's really the goal, of course, is to learn
Teaching.
and start implementing what you learn yourself, not just relying on someone else's trades. Now, of course, I do look at the alerts on the options trades and will place them occasionally, but um, the whole goal in what I've learned is just target those high probability trades, and Lance teaches you how to do that. And I've started to really crank out more winners than losers, which is a huge turnaround from what I used to have going on. So
Good.
One
That's
of my
good.
favorite parts of the Discord now is the members trades when people are thinking of ideas like, would this be a good strike and good expiration? Like, that's exactly why we're here. Not only to just give like my recommendations, see if I can help you guys out and see if you made good ideas as well and what we could possibly improve on them.
great.
Cool. Did you have any more in the presentation, or should we get on to more about the Discord? I can show like stuff. Or
That was about it. I have a few testimonials, but Josh is here too.
sure, I was impressed with a couple of testimonials, especially since I referred a guy recently, and he's like absolutely blown away by your awesomeness. Do you have his?
Right. Let me share my screen real quick. I'll show a few of the others.
One of the guys from the nav room joined, and it's just like Lance is the best. It's like,
Ken just asked what's easiest, Tasty or Thinkorswim? I threw in lots of Thinkorswim. I personally think that's easier, but
yeah, I've heard both answers, to be honest. Tastyworks initially might be a little bit easier to start with, but the user interface is a little bit hard at times.
yeah, kind of like you talked about. I think that slider bar on Tastyworks is just kind of odd. Like to set your strike prices, it's like a sliding bar, like where you drag it.
Yeah. I think placing the trades is a little bit easier, but then managing it might be harder. And I did do training videos on the strategy guides on exactly how to place these trades on Thinkorswim. So either one is technically fine to use, but I use Thinkorswim as well. All right, so here are a few of the testimonials. I forgot what was no rush. I think I was translating my handwritten notes. So I got this little rocket book. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. You could write on like erasable ink, and then you take a screenshot and it saves it. So I was doing my little handwriting, try to get that brain, writing connection there. And then he's like, "Do you mind translating all these?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "No rush. Thank you. I'm really enjoying being part of the group. Great education." Sunil's been here quite a bit now, very active in the group. Never done anything like this before, so kindly lead me through one. I'll be okay after that. He thought of a trade and how it might be a good trade to make, and then I just walked exactly through, like, this is what you do. I took screenshots, make sure that the setup looks like this, and then click on this button and so on. And I like doing that. These are all private DMs, by the way. Bull's been with us a bit too. Service, only one among many that I've tried, gives me my investment back in less than a month.
that's the one I'm most proud of. Like, I love this guy. Like, he's great in the nav room and he's awesome. Like, the fact that we've put one to somebody else is also really good. It's exciting to me. So
yeah, exactly. He might actually make his living where he gets guidance from me. Hands on best in the business. We talk a lot on DM. He'll ask in the group. A lot of times he's the motivator in the 0DTE saying, made my time for lunch. So like he'll start the trade and leave it time for lunch because he's paying for his foods. And yeah, so definitely appreciate Bull there. We actually met recently for lunch. Hey, there's Husker Nut Josh here. Not only education great, many of the alerts provided end up as winners 1,000 times, no, 100 times, sorry. I wish I could say 1,000 times better, and they can't thank me enough. So, yeah, those are some of the testimonials there.
Cool. Should we talk about the deal then? I'm posting.
Yeah, so let's go over the deal here. So we're going to let me go over what we're offering first. So you get a daily 0DTE every day of the week. Average return so far this year was 0.9%. Per day, and almost 9 out of 10 is 1. We do daily cash your puts and put credit spread recommendations. Those usually go around 27, 30 days out. Depends on the time of the month.
Sorry to interrupt again, but somebody asked, do you actually take these trades? It sounds like some people are worried that you don't actually take them.
Yeah, I take a good amount of them. I do my cash secure puts in the Roth IRA, and then I'll do the spreads usually in my brokerage account. I usually take about 70-80% of the trades that I actually recommend. Right now, a
the
little
only
bit less
reason,
because I'm waiting for the house. But once the house finishes, back on the
right.
saddle on that.
But it's also worth pointing out though that you give 2 cash secured puts a day, and you can't just keep. You can pick the best one, right? So you're not going to take
Yeah.
every for the cash secured put part thing. You're not going to take every single cash secured put because they all have roughly the same chance of winning, right? So you can
Yes.
tailor it, whether you take one or maybe you wait till tomorrow or whatever, because they all have a roughly equal chance of winning.
Right. And I go over a detailed strategy guide on the amount of positions to be in at any one time. We tend to buy to close them around 50% profit. So if you did a cash your put where you made $50, you'll get out at $25. So you made 25. And then you have your buying power available to do a new one. So depends on when people join the group. If they are doing most of the recommendations, they won't necessarily be doing every trade anyway, because sometimes a few of these might take a few extra days to close out, and then you might take a recommendation for the next day. That's why I give a lot of alerts, but you don't have to take all of them. I don't think there's anyone that takes every alert. I'm probably take the most of anybody, but some probably take 50-60% maybe at the top. But good question there. We do futures recommendations every week, typically on Monday or even Sunday night. If you are busy during the week, you can see the trade Sunday night, targeting 2.5% a month here. We have our Discord, dedicated members. You always have one-on-one access. As Husker Nut Josh knows, and a lot of other members, I'm very active on one-on-one. I'll try to respond to you as soon as I can once I get a question from you guys. And for joining, you'll get a free 1-hour Zoom session, just one-on-one with me. And we'll go over the basic strategy. We could go recommendations on allocations. I've been hearing some questions about that, and what percent should I do this strategy, what percent that strategy, and I tailor that more to your needs. Okay. So that's all we get for the service. Doing a special annual subscription will be $499, and that includes a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me. We will do a small group Zoom for anyone that wants to join in the membership to go over the basics of the strategy. I like to do that whenever we get new members. And we're actually doing another lifetime special, full one-time payment, $14.97, unlimited Zooms with me whenever you need it. We've had a few lifetimers a few months ago. They've already gotten a few hours of one-on-one time with me already.
Yeah.
So whatever you need and never need any question, that's why I'm here for it.
And that's including all the alerts and Discord and all this stuff as well. It's on top of that. So
yes,
really, that is a ridiculous deal. Imagine signing up for one of these other crazy services, not going to name any names, paying that, but not getting any access to the person who's actually the expert in this. And Lance is the expert in this stuff. So it's definitely, in my opinion, that is a huge deal.
Yep. Not only is this an alert service, this is a teaching service. Like, I'm here to educate and go over how to use credit spreads, cash puts, all these selling options to make your, profits worthwhile on that.
So I posted a link for people to go and check that. You should be able to see it in the chat. If you can't see it, then hopefully everybody can see it pop up, the link to the landing page.
Okay.
It gives you more details. It's also worth emailing Lance directly if you still have more questions before joining up. I'm sure he's happy to answer whatever. But yeah, does anybody else have any questions, like going into particular details about the zero DTE stuff? Or, you're not going to find anybody more transparent than Lance, so you can ask him whatever you want. He's not going to hide results. In fact, in the last webinar we did, I think you pulled up your entire spreadsheet of results, right? For like a year and a half or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's the real deal. So
there's good moments, there's not so great moments, but I haven't had any major losses each month, even with the market the way it is. I think 6 months in, I've only lost 2 months of the 6. There were just slight losses, like 1.5%. The other months were higher. What platform do we use for actual trades? We use Thinkorswim. For actual alerts and how to communicate, we use the Discord.
Yeah.
And Webull or Robinhood would work. We do have a few people using those. They're pretty straightforward. They are cheaper in commissions because they're pretty much near zero commission. But if you want to get pretty serious on these, you probably want to use Thinkorswim Tasty because there's a lot more options, so to speak, on that.
Right.
Well, and I will throw in like with I don't believe Webull offers it, and I know for a fact Robinhood doesn't, but futures are not available on either of the platforms. So, but other than that, like if you're doing zero DTE, cash secured puts, credit spreads, so of whatever type, those are all available on both platforms.
Right. The future trade we are holding overnight. We made the trade that's 30 days out. We're just going to place the trade on and then wait the 30 days. It's going to expire worthless and very, very high probability. And then when it expires, we just enter a new one the next day.
And that's what makes this awesome is income generation in a world where money is losing value, right? So you're just putting your money into this. The chances of it working are like 95 or 98% or something ridiculous. And you just sit there and you wait. And then, it's fantastic. So it's really good. So, yeah, and then Brian's asking how much monthly. I don't think at the moment we have a month-to-month plan.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we do the quarterlies. But plan is to do the annuals or lifetimes at this point.
Yeah.
I think it was like over 100 for the monthly, right? But
it works out way better just to do an annual or the lifetime through the full coaching with Lance. The last time we did one of these webinars, we had quite a lot of people just sign up straight for the lifetime. So we figured we'd just offer it again. It's best for everybody. It keeps payments simple, and it keeps Lance is super motivated to really get people going. The amount of time that Lance spends with people, it doesn't make sense to charge $20 a month because for $20 a month, Lance can't give you the attention and the effort that he wants to put in. So unfortunately, we're not doing short time frame subscriptions really. So other questions? Is there a stop loss for spreads? I think we already covered that briefly.
Yeah, we do a 3x hard stop on 0 DTE. So if you're taking in $20, we're stopping out at 60, and you would have a net loss of 40 if that happens.
So another question: cash secured puts? Nope, they don't need a lot of margin.
The cash secured puts don't technically use any margin because it's cash settled. So if you're selling a put at a $10 strike price, you're leaving $1,000 in your account. All the recommendations I give, I'm assuming you're not using portfolio margin or margin requirements. You could technically do those to amplify your returns, but all of the trade recommendations I give, we're targeting at least that 2% a month without using any margin whatsoever. Because I've noticed that a lot of people have margin. Some of them joined ours and they had a lot of margin issues. Miss Margin's been calling them almost every other day, and we're helping them try to get through that right now. We have a few of the lifetimes dealing with that. So we want to do all cash settled on these.
So Alonso's just saying I've been following you for a while. I'm just curious if it's on YouTube or where you're at. I don't know. It's always good to have these events and talk to people that often you don't hear from people. They just watch videos, or they even in Discord sometimes they don't really speak, and then you're like, did you post contact information for Lance? What do you want to do for that, Lance? Is it on the landing page?
I think it's on the landing page.
Let me see.
You can leave a comment on the YouTube video and then leave it there. Or if you want to email Russell, I could get to it.
Yeah, so I'm happy giving out my email address. I get so many emails from people. I just I don't care if some crazy emails me like sees this on here. So here's my email address, stockalertsreview.com.
I'll send you an email from there. You can just forward it to me. I probably should be making a business email, right? Josh probably send a business email.
You mean you're not a polished super duper marketing machine yet, where you tell everybody they're going to have a Lamborghini?
Are we doing futures options or options on futures? We are selling puts on futures, so you're selling an option on a future. I'm not sure if that answered the question or not.
So Resend.
That's what
Wait.
Alonzo resent it for option futures or futures on options.
Boom, boom, boom. So let me just get rid of this one. Hide current comment. Let's see. So Alonzo's saying he's listened to a few of the reviews. That's cool. Hopefully you find them helpful. So any other questions? There's still quite a few people watching, so I'm going to post the page where you should go and check us out. theatraders.com/0DTE. It's the only place you can get the special Lance 101 like help as much as you need it. I've tried to tell Lance not to do that because time's valuable, but he's too good of a guy. he's like no value. So
it's like a second job, but I like helping out people, so I don't mind it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So did anything else? Did anybody take the trade in Navroom that's still in here today? Navroom went down mid trade. It was scalping a spy put,
Right.
but it went down. And I was like, okay, right. It was kind of a hairy trade. So just curious to see if people in here.
Spy moved a lot today.
Okay, more questions. Oh my God, the Josh right before isn't Josh. Sorry, other Josh. So
I have no idea what that means.
that's gotta be it's gotta be Raj or Marian or somebody like quite sure. You see Julian's comment here. He said, "Come like do you trade gold or oil?"
I might consider it. I actually wrote a paper about selling the oil futures. I haven't personally did the gold ETF or future yet. It's hard to get to the target 2% a month. I mean, you could pretty straightforward get 0.81%, but I personally haven't done it. Gold, oil, and other commodities might be the next main thing we do look into. They are a little bit more complicated though, like selling the bacon and corn and wheat futures and whatnot. Like I am actually researching that stuff now, but not quite ready to implement and teach yet.
There's so much stuff in Theta Traders already.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy value. What Lens is selling here is it's like one of the channels is a service in itself, which is crazy.
Yeah, and what's good is some people decide to only do the ZT 0DTE and they're happy with it. Some people just like to do the monthly trades and then they're good with it. Like you don't have to do every type of strategy we're given here. Oh, Marion. Hi, Marion.
Like you said, there's so many strategies. I feel like it's pretty important, especially starting, to kind of focus on just maybe a few strategies. So it kind of boils down to what people's preference is. So like if it's really set it and forget it and not have to worry, like really monitor that trade, it might be something like just the options trades alerts that Lance provides and such. And then doing 0DT, like you said, you don't have to sit there and monitor the trade yourself because Lance typically posts when to get out of that trade. So yes, you have the stop loss on there in case it goes against you quickly. But if it turns out positive, he's like, hey, close this at 10 cents after you sold it for like 20 or whatever. And there you go. You got your profit and you get an alert to do so. So you don't have to sit there and like watch it constantly. You'll get an alert on your phone or whatever saying, go ahead and close it. So
right. Josh, you've been learning very well from what I've been saying. I think when like 4 or 5 months ago, that was a complete I wouldn't say 180. You knew some of it before, but that was a great way to say that.
Yeah.
So how much different?
Should we answer David's question?
We haven't now. So how much different the stock market with Trump in office?
I'm not going to get into politics at all.
That's probably it, Matt, in disguise. I don't know.
These strategies worked a few years ago. It worked now. I mean, that's all I'll say about that.
I would say a lot more, but I'll try not to. Cool. So, any more questions? Again, I'll post the link.
Andres is right.
Go and check out the landing page. If you have any questions, reach out to me or to Lance via the different methods. And hopefully we get some of you guys sign up. I know the bunch that we did this webinar with last time, a lot of them seemed really happy, and most of them went for lifetime, from what I remember. And are getting full use of all your knowledge. Which is good.
I think that's all the questions, right? So
Seems like it.
feel free to email Russell if you want to leave your email up again, and we'll talk one-on-one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a stuff alerts reviewed, same as the channel name. Stuff alerts reviewed at Proton Mail because I'm hiding from the feds. So there we go. All right, there's my email. So if you guys have questions, email me, and then I'll filter out the lunatics. I'll filter out any haters, because my channel has a lot of those. Because apparently I'm always some paid kind of shill for something. So I'll make sure none of them make it to your inbox, Lance. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it's been fun. Thanks a lot, Josh and Russell, like always. And
Sounds good.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Hopefully that was useful. Sounds good. All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a good one.